Okay, here we are. Let us discuss Meow Wolf. So the project I did here on Meow Wolf is going to be discussing kind of how the Meow Wolf interactive art installation has affected the larger museum world in general. I guess I was kind of inspired to make this presentation here. I wonder if this is going to show up. It doesn't matter. I was inspired to make this presentation here because Meow Wolf is coming to Denver, and I had never really heard of this organization before moving out here. Um, And I've caught wind of it several times working in an artistic organization, that this very interesting, immersive art experience is going to be opening an expansion, a massive facility here in Denver, Colorado. They're originally based out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. And they've made great waves in the immersive art world, so much so that they've got enough capital to expand throughout the world. So in this paper, I decided to kind of look into what they are, figure out what they're doing that's so special, and how people in my industry potentially could take influence. And I say my industry being classical museums. How people in classical museums can take influence from this immersive art experience. So that's why I named it Meow Wolf, a Magical Butterfly Effect. That's the name of this title here. Can't really see it under this thing. Hopefully that. I wonder if I can hide this. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it. So when you think of a traditional museum, you think of something kind of monolithic in scale. To the left, we have the Rijksmuseum. These are all pictures I took myself. You'll see throughout. So I took this picture when I was in Santa Fe. Very exciting. You'll see these pictures here are all pictures I've taken on various trips throughout the last 12 months. So over here on the left, we have the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. My good friend Matthew Tatum standing in front of it, giving us a thumbs up. As you can see, the Rijksmuseum is a perfect illustration of what a traditional art installation museum looks like. Just a massive, massive, overwhelming building in size that houses artworks from decades and decades of, in the Dutch's case, colonialism and pillaging or patronship in many cases, where the people who got the art and possessed the art were really territorial about how they came across it and how they possessed it, how they curated it, and who got to see it and under what conditions. In the center here, we have the underground entrance to the Van Gogh Museum. In the same plaza as the Rijksmuseum there, actually, if you were just to turn the camera on the picture to the left, over farther to the left, you would see the Van Gogh Museum. But this is just a picture of inside of it. You go down into the bookstore, and it's got the traditional exit to the gift shop situation. On the right down there is the special exhibitions. And then to the far right, you can see the corner of the Broad in Los Angeles, which is a much more contemporary building. I guess the Van Gogh is pretty contemporary as well compared to the Rijksmuseum. But the Broad is a prototypical new museum, as they like to be called, cantilevered structures, sides, but still follows a lot of the archetypes of traditional art institutions. Um, not a lot of natural light coming in, even though there are a lot of sunlights here in the Broad. But stark white walls, white floor galleries. The art is really framed and curated in a specific way. Um, Not a lot of breaking the mold, breaking tradition per se. Inside these institutions, it's more of the same. Here we have my friend Mark standing in front of a self-portrait of Van Gogh here. Very excited. He's doing the audio tour. That's a great representation of what traditional museums do. They give you a guide. They walk you around the building, and you're kind of told where to go. The center is from the Van Gogh Museum. I think the Van Gogh on the left was in the Rijksmuseum, if I'm correct. And then the one in the center was a sneaky portrait. I don't think I was allowed to take this picture, but I got one of Van Gogh's sunflowers. And then on the right of that photo, you can see the didactics and the number for the audio guide. Again, you're being guided around an art museum in a very traditional way, in a very curated way, something planned by someone not really exploratory in nature. In these institutions, you're never really challenged to find your own way. Oftentimes, you have to ask other people where to go to find things. You have to ask security guards where something you're looking for is. A sense of discovery is not front and foremost in this artistic experience. And then to the right, you see inside the Broad, plenty of natural light, but as I was saying, stark white walls and a very contemporary gallery there. Even with the large immersive sculptures that my friend Rossman's standing in front of there, um, you can see that they're displayed in a very curated, contemporary way. No one's climbing on them. They're very protected. The artworks are meant to be savored, saved for future generations, potentially put up for auction later on. There is a secondary intent of the art. The art is not to be fully experienced and for the physical object that it is. It's much more meant to be a visual aesthetic and appreciated that way. Um, and that's why Meow Wolf is so interesting. Meow Wolf takes a very different approach. Um, Meow Wolf is based in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is a interesting place in and of itself. It's south of Denver by about 6 hours on I-25, and these are some pictures I took when I went to go visit. It's beautiful. It's all adobe architecture. It's all very low-lying buildings within the mountains. You can have beautiful mountain vistas every way you look. There's a very rich Native American history, a very rich Christian mission history in the city, and a very rich art scene. Santa Fe has one of the liveliest art gallery scenes in the world. People buy Western art, flatware decorations, topaz jewelry, turquoise, handmade silver, things like that are in abundance in Santa Fe and have driven the economy, the tourist economy there for generations, which makes Meow Wolf all the more unique in the situation. So on the left, you see the traditional city lookout. I forget the specific name of it. I should look it up. But a beautiful part of the city. That was a nice little morning hike the morning I was there. And then the center picture here is Meow Wolf's parking lot. That is a sculpture. I think it stands almost like 40 feet tall in the parking lot there. It's at least twice the size of the building. And it just, with the mountains behind it, it creates this incredible um, entrance piece showing that the world that you're leaving behind in the parking lot here is about to grow in its size of curiosity and scope in an incredible way. And then to the right, you have the effect of this incredible combination of the two photos on the left, the traditional Santa Fe and the modern world. You have the popularity. You have Meow Wolf's line. My sunshades here. You can get away from the Santa Fe sun, but it was still quite chilly that morning. They hadn't turned on these heaters here to the right, and you can see that line wraps around the block. Santa Fe or Meow Wolf is a blockbuster exhibition here. They have constant crowds, and I'll give you a few reasons why I think that's the case. Here's a good picture of outside the building. So this particular installation is called the House of Eternal Return, and it was built inside an old bowling alley. And it's just the antithesis of the art museums I was showing you before. We can skip back here. You can see the Rijksmuseum. You walk in, and it's just a grand old Dutch building. The Van Gogh Museum, also very contemporary, but still grand in its scope and scale. The Broad is the same thing with all of its natural light. These things just kind of like blend together and create these, traditional artistic viewing experiences. Whereas you see Meow Wolf, and it's just an old bowling alley. And if you know anything about bowling alleys, they're built to not let sun in. They're built so you don't know what time of day it is. And I think that was perfect for what they ended up creating inside. Um, Here's another picture of the lines just from the inside. As you can see, it's very, very popular. But as soon as you enter the doors, the world starts to shift a little bit. The blank white walls on the outside kind of start to morph into these colorful uh, murals on every single surface of the building. They engulf you. Even standing in line, you start to become part of the experience. And so you pay your admittance fee and you go into what is the House of Eternal Return. So you walk into a traditional Victorian house built inside of this bowling alley. And unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of that. But I did get a picture of something everyone has in their house, a mop with hair on it. No, I just say it like that because it kind of gives you a flavor of what Meow Wolf is starting to go for. It gives you a piece of what the normal world is and slowly starts to turn it on its head. And as you get further and further into this traditional house, you get taken into a magical world. Here you can see me being pulled through a traditional looking fireplace into a land that I had no idea what to expect. Um, so when you enter Meow Wolf and pay, you're given these 3D glasses, and that's it. Unlike a traditional museum, like the Rijksmuseum I was showing you before, you don't get the headphones, you don't get the audio guide, you don't get a map. You have to find your own way, and sometimes things are 3D, and it's up to you to figure out what that means and where that is going. So once you kind of cross through the world of the normal, you start to enter a bit of a different world. I'm going to jump out to my photos here. A bit more of the House of Eternal Return experience. Everything is very 3D and motion and electric and exciting. Everything is immersive. This here is their concert space. And you just kind of guide your way around and experience the unique aesthetics that this place has to offer, in a way totally unique from a traditional museum. Here's one more example. I'll show you just a little 10-second clip. So you go through an ice box and you're all of a sudden in a these are my friends. So it's just an incredible experience. And as you can see, my friend even there was asking me to take her picture. And that's just the consistent theme throughout the Meow Wolf experience. And so you wander around this entire incredible creative world and you find yourself with pieces of artwork that you're allowed to touch and feel and take photos and selfies with. And it's all just perfect fodder for you to share with people later on and create what they call a fear of missing out for your friends. So they get this desire to come and visit the same place. Um, and it's astonishing. You've got water forests and underwater remarkable places and things of the such. And then you leave, and then you're back into the real world. And all of a sudden, you've got a spider to sit and have lunch under before you make your drive back to Denver, or I guess in the future case, your drive 20 minutes back home. And it makes you wonder, how is this going to affect other art museums? How has this affected other art museums? And so you go back and look. You look at like old Kasuma, 1960s installations. She was totally into the immersive artwork, and these installations have been selling out for years. So really, Meow Wolf is doing nothing new, and museums have embraced this immersive technique for generations. Um, but even these installations in the 60s and the modern day Infinity one that was very popular at the Hirshhorn are very strict in their nature and don't quite embrace the artist in the same way. It's all in this case, like the case of the Infinity. It was all the work of one artist. It was not a collective experience. It was not a DIY punk experience. And that's really what gets to the heart of what Meow Wolf is. Meow Wolf is an art collective, a group of people that came together in Santa Fe in the early 2000s and shirked all the traditions. They are a 501c3 nonprofit, but they do things like if someone creates a product under the Meow Wolf moniker, they're able to get 100% of the IP rights of that product. People are sharing their art experiences not through educational papers. Well, I mean, I guess I am, but primarily they're showing them through Instagram and social networks like Snapchat and the like. So the more museums can do to embrace the audience that Meow Wolf has captured here, the better off they'll be in the future and having diverse, well-represented audiences of the communities that host these institutions. Here's another good example of how a contemporary exhibition is embracing this sort of share it yourself DIY aesthetic while also being very traditional. So this is the Dior exhibit at the Denver Art Museum. And as you can see, this is a picture I actually took off Instagram just from the Dior Art Museum location, Denver Art Museum Dior location. And you can see this person is just very stylishly dressed up. They've come in an immersive sense. They wanted to immerse themselves in the Dior exhibit by showing their finest fashion as well. And the Denver Art Museum has done a great many things to embrace this. They've named drinks at the Starbucks after it. They host little giveaways and things like that for best dressed. And they just do things where they want the audience to engage with the artwork as much as possible. They don't want it to be a passive experience like traditional art museums have been in the past. Rather than, you know, a single one-way information street where the museum is the end-all information source and absolutely correct in everything they say. They want it to be a dialectic method of teaching. They want it to be a conversation where, and I say they, I mean the art world in general wants to move towards embracing what people think and embracing their interpretations of the art. They want people to be the curators of their own experience through their cell phone, through the lens of their social media, and share that with the world and give their opinions. Because in the long run, having perhaps an uninformed opinion is slightly better than having no opinion at all. And I think that's really what the art world wants to embrace and land in a more dialectic sense moving forward. And I think Meow Wolf has done a lot to encourage that. And with their 3 new installations moving forward, and actually I think it's 4 now. I think it's Denver, Las Vegas, DC, and Phoenix officially. So with their 4 new installations, they're going to continue to catalyze this trend in the art world for years to come, and I'm really excited to see how that goes. So that's kind of what I touched on in this paper. I know I was a little rambly and went a little long, and um, I just have a lot to say, and I don't know. I really enjoy this artistic movement. I've really enjoyed learning about them and getting to visit. So thanks for listening. Here's another picture of me and teddy bears.